Welcome back to Golden Fortune Leo, the corner of the internet where astrology doesn't hide behind misty poetry or vague promises but shows up like a seasoned mentor with a coffee in one hand, a star chart in the other, and just enough humor to keep the truth from stinging. I'm your host, a longtime researcher who has logged more nights with ephemerides and behavioral studies than most people spend deciding between oat milk and whole. And today we are stepping into a topic that moves quietly but decisively, Leo, a man in uniform and the verdict of destiny, the year of triumph 2025. Think of this as the moment in a great American courtroom drama when the camera lingers on the judge's pen before it touches paper, because something in your life is about to receive a signature, an approval, a stamp of cosmic alignment. And no, I'm not talking about a romance with the first firefighter who smiles at you, though let's be honest, Leo, if a uniformed hero did wander onto your path, you'd at least listen to the opening statement. The man in uniform we're talking about today symbolizes authority without arrogance, order without oppression, and truth delivered with the quiet certainty of a sunrise, whether it arrives as a doctor's clear diagnosis, a lawyer's final confirmation, an officer's report that closes an old loop, or the voice of a mentor who's earned the right to speak into your life. And the headline here is not chaos but balance, the kind that restores your footing. After a long season of walking on emotional marbles, if you've felt that eerie calm lately, the hush that happens in a theater right before the overture, you're not imagining it. You've been living through the between time, the hallway where one door has closed and the next hasn't opened, the part of the story where nothing seems to move yet everything is shifting behind the scenes. And while you've been doing ordinary things, sipping your morning coffee, scrolling past other people's highlight reels, wondering if the universe accidentally put you on hold, something exact and measurable has been clicking into place. Karma, that old accountant with excellent memory and terrible bedside manner, has been balancing ledgers you forgot existed, and the math is starting to favor you, not because you shouted the loudest but because you persisted the longest. The year of triumph 2025 is not about jackpot luck or lottery thunderclaps. If it were, we'd all be outside waiting for money to fall from the sky like confetti. It's about return, the dignified, unspectacular, deeply satisfying return of what was yours by effort, by character, by the simple stubborn miracle of showing up when you could have given up, and it's arriving with receipts. I want you to hear this in plain American English, the way a trusted friend would say it across a kitchen table. The decision that concerns you is already in motion, the invisible dominoes have tipped, and a messenger of order is approaching your storyline, not to debate your worth but to acknowledge it, not to pick a fight but to finalize a chapter. You may not feel ready. Leos are famous for looking ready while privately editing the script, but the point of this moment is that readiness is less about polish and more about integrity. You've done the work, learned the hard lessons, and refined your judgment so that when the opportunity, verdict, or invitation lands, you greet it with a steady heart rather than sprinting in with a megaphone. Along the way you'll notice the subtle tells of destiny at work. The right email arrives without 12 follow UPS, the meeting falls onto your calendar without you chasing it, a conversation that used to tangle now unties itself, and your inner dialogue shifts from prove it to receive it. I'm not promising a parade. Buddhist wisdom would remind us that trumpets are loud but impermanent, yet I am telling you that the quiet outcomes often carry the deepest authority, and this is one of them. Think of the man in uniform as shorthand for the moment life decides in your favor, the moment, the abstract beck. When people hear the phrase divine justice, they often picture the sky cracking open, a choir of trumpets, or some cinematic lightning strike where wrongs are instantly corrected and villains repent in slow motion. But anyone who has lived long enough to tell the truth knows that real justice, the kind the universe specializes in, rarely arrives with that kind of drama. It comes quietly, with no soundtrack, no headlines, sometimes disguised as a small, ordinary moment. It might be a single signature on a page, a phone call that lands on a random Tuesday, or a conversation so subtle you don't realize until later that it closed a chapter you thought would never end. The universe, it seems, has impeccable timing but terrible marketing. It prefers stillness over spectacle. You've probably asked yourself, often late at night, why did I have to go through all that? And the uncomfortable truth is this: your soul was being prepared for clarity. That's the cosmic fine print no one tells you about. Growth rarely arrives through comfort. When you prayed for strength, the universe didn't hand you a sword and say, "Go conquer." It handed you a mirror and whispered, "Start here." You were asked to face the one opponent most people spend their lives avoiding: yourself. And you did. You faced the long nights of doubt when your faith sounded like static. You survived the betrayals that turned your world sideways. You endured isolation that tested your spirit, and still you managed to keep your heart open. That's why this moment, the one approaching now, feels different. Because this time, you've earned your peace not through fighting but through endurance. The universe doesn't hand out medals for surviving storms, it restores what the storm took from you once you've learned to stop cursing the rain. Justice, in its truest form, isn't about punishment, it's about restoration. The person who wronged you, the system that failed you, the opportunity that slipped through your fingers, all of those will find their own lessons, in their own time. But your lesson is gentler. It's learning how to rise without bitterness, how to move forward without dragging the past like luggage, how to reclaim your light without demanding anyone else's permission to shine. That, my dear Leo, is real power, not domination, but composure, not revenge, but release. Let's talk about this idea of the chosen ones. It sounds dramatic, almost Hollywood level, but in truth, every Leo carries a portion of that calling. You are ruled by the sun, the living symbol of vitality, courage, and visibility, and that means your life is never meant to unfold quietly in the shadows. But there's a catch to carrying light: it burns. The universe doesn't hand out radiance to people who can't handle its heat. That's why those chosen to bring illumination often walk through the darkest valleys first. The light that makes you warm to others is forged in the same fire that once nearly broke you. You've been burned before by misplaced trust, by love that demanded too much, by systems that were supposed to protect you but collapsed instead. And yet, every time, you rebuilt quietly, without an audience or applause, driven by the low, steady heartbeat of faith that said, "Not yet, but soon." That soon you've been whispering to yourself? It's arriving. The year 2025 isn't just a date on a calendar, it's your year of triumph. Not the kind you post about on social media, framed with hashtags and sunsets, but the internal kind. The kind that feels like peace after war, like freedom after carrying too much for too long. You'll know it's happening because you'll stop craving validation and start valuing stillness. There's something liberating about no longer needing anyone to notice your glow. It's the realization that your light doesn't ask permission, it simply rises every morning. Within this next stretch of time, maybe days, maybe weeks, expect a message, a call, or an encounter that carries a strange gravity. It won't feel like an ordinary conversation. There'll be a weight in the air, a stillness that says, "Pay attention." This might be the moment the universe sends its messenger, the proverbial man in uniform. Now, before your imagination runs off to romantic comedy territory, remember that uniform here isn't about fabric, it's about authority. This person could appear as a doctor, an officer, a lawyer, a teacher, or even a mentor who walks into your life with information or insight that rearranges everything. The outer uniform doesn't matter. What matters is that this person carries presence, not ego. They symbolize a bridge between human decision and divine orchestration. Their arrival marks the end of one karmic cycle and the beginning of another. When that moment comes, pause. Don't rush into action or dismiss it as coincidence. Just breathe. Destiny moves like a well-trained jazz musician, rarely on the beat you expect, but always in rhythm. Sometimes it arrives in silence, in an envelope sliding across a desk, in a handshake that lingers 1 second too long, in the sudden peace that replaces the anxiety you didn't realize had become background noise. You'll know it's real because something deep within you will click, like a puzzle piece finding its home after years in the wrong box. You might even laugh at how simple it feels after all that waiting. Divine irony, the universe's favorite form of humor. This is not about spectacle or drama, it's about precision. The universe doesn't waste energy on unnecessary fireworks. Instead, it orchestrates events with the calm efficiency of a seasoned director who's already seen the ending. Every setback you faced, every detour you cursed, every tear you thought evaporated into nothing, they were all part of the choreography that leads here. The mirror you were handed years ago has done its job. You've met your shadow and made peace with it. Now comes the restoration. The invisible contract of your life is being rewritten not in bold headlines, but in quiet understanding. The energy that once leaked through resentment is returning as confidence. The strength that was scattered by heartbreak is gathering as clarity. So, when the call comes, answer it. When the email lands, read it twice. When the door opens, don't hesitate. You'll recognize the feeling. It's that unmistakable sense of alignment, the hum in your chest that says, finally. And if a literal man in uniform does appear, remember to thank him for playing his role in the cosmic script, but don't mistake him for the author. The real author is you, the Leo who kept showing up, who kept shining even when no one clapped, who carried the heart of the chosen ones through every trial without losing humor or humanity. In the end, divine justice is never about getting what's fair, it's about getting what's true. It's the soft correction of balance, the moment the universe quietly sets the record straight and returns your name to the light. So, smile when it happens, Leo. Not the performative smile for the crowd, but the quiet one that says, I see it now. Because after all the noise, that's how real justice sounds, not like thunder, but like peace. Before light finds its way in, something must fall apart. It's one of those unglamorous cosmic truths that spiritual teachers, therapists, and poets have all been trying to tell us for centuries. Transformation doesn't begin with triumph, it begins with collapse. Before you rise, you fall. And sometimes that fall doesn't look cinematic. It's not a slow motion, orchestral kind of descent. It's messy. It's realizing at 2 in the morning that the life you've been clinging to no longer fits. It's sitting in your car in a parking lot because you can't quite walk into the house yet. It's crying, not because you're weak, but because you've been strong for too damn long. Leos, in particular, have a heroic addiction to strength. You'd rather bite your tongue than ask for help, rather burn quietly than admit the fire hurts. But the universe, in its unflinching wisdom, is whispering to you now, you don't have to hold it together this time. Let it break. Let the tears come. Let the dust rise. The fall isn't punishment, it's permission. The walls you built were once necessary, but they've done their job. When they finally come down, light has room to enter. Picture a lion who's spent too long in a cage. The door opens. There's no dramatic roar, no gallant sprint into the wild. The lion just stands there, breathing, feeling the sunlight on its fur, stunned that freedom can feel so still. That's you, Leo. The collapse isn't destruction, it's recalibration. The version of yourself built on proving, defending, explaining is crumbling because it's no longer needed. What remains is quieter, stronger, purer, self-respect without performance. This is rebirth, not the shiny, Instagram kind, but the kind that happens when you stop auditioning for love and start inhabiting your worth. Now let's talk about timing, because I know what you're thinking. If the universe is so wise, why did it take so long? Here's the thing, cosmic justice doesn't run on human Wi-Fi. Karma isn't Amazon Prime. It doesn't promise next day delivery. It waits for perfect alignment, and that, inconveniently, often means you'll spend a few years wondering if anyone up there even remembers your name. But the universe has a long memory and impeccable record keeping. Every time you chose kindness when anger was easier, it was logged. Every night you cried alone and still showed up the next morning, it was noted. Every time you forgave someone who didn't deserve it, the universe leaned in closer. You haven't been ignored, you've been observed, studied, and prepared. Now those invisible threads of grace and patience you spun in secret are being woven into your comeback. You're not being repaid. You're being recognized. There's a difference. Repayment implies debt, recognition implies worth. One is transactional. The other is sacred. Maybe, like many Leos, you've mistaken silence for neglect. You gave love and got crickets. You did the right thing and still lost. You waited, and nothing seemed to arrive. But what you didn't see were the dominoes being arranged behind the curtain. The universe, meticulous as a Swiss clockmaker, has been setting the stage for a very specific moment. And that moment, my radiant feline, is now. As light returns, so does truth, and here's where things get spicy. Light, beautiful as it is, has no loyalty to illusion. When it enters, it exposes. And sometimes, that's uncomfortable. The coming months may reveal people's real faces, and spoiler alert, not everyone looks great under honest lighting. You'll see who stood by you because they loved you and who stayed only because they needed you. Some revelations will surprise you pleasantly, others will sting. Don't take it personally. This isn't punishment, it's calibration. The universe isn't trying to hurt you, it's fine-tuning your circle so it finally matches your soul. This process can feel ruthless, like a cosmic spring cleaning. Some friendships will fade, some relationships will crack, and a few social masks will melt faster than cheap wax. But take heart, you can't rebuild a castle on sand. Truth doesn't destroy what's real, it only clears the fog so you can see the landscape as it truly is. And if we were being honest, you'll notice something else too, you've changed. You no longer chase people who run. You don't beg for explanations. You don't lose your peace every time someone misunderstands you. That's growth. That's spiritual maturity. The kind you can't learn from a book, only from bruises. It's the quiet confidence of someone who finally trusts their own vision. And here's the reward, divine justice is stepping off the philosophical shelf and showing up in real life. The abstract is becoming tangible. For some Leos, this will take the form of money reimbursements long delayed, career breakthroughs that seemed frozen, or financial relief arriving from the least expected direction. For others, it will be emotional or legal closure, an apology that once felt impossible, a truth that finally gets validated, or a system that, after years of silence, decides to do the right thing. The universe doesn't hurry, but it never forgets to deliver. When this balance returns, it won't look like a Hollywood victory. There won't be confetti or cheering crowds. It will feel like peace. It will feel like finally setting down a backpack you didn't realize you'd been carrying since childhood. That's the real prize, relief, not spectacle. You'll breathe deeper, sleep better, and laugh more easily. You'll realize that closure doesn't always announce itself with fanfare, sometimes it just slips in quietly when you stop replaying the past. And the beauty of divine timing is that when something is truly yours, you don't have to cling to it. It stays. Opportunities that belong to you don't need chasing, they gravitate back. Love that's meant for you doesn't need convincing, it recognizes you instantly. This next phase of your life isn't about effort, it's about alignment. You've learned how to do the hard work. Now it's time to learn the art of allowing. If you're wondering what to do in the meantime, here's the simplest advice a longtime student of both astrology and psychology can offer: stay curious. Stay amused. When the chaos starts to settle and you begin to see the shape of what's next, treat it with gratitude, but also a touch of humor. The universe, after all, has impeccable comic timing. It often gives you exactly what you asked for, but only after making sure you can handle it. So if you find yourself laughing through tears as your life rearranges itself, congratulations, you're doing it right. The fall before the dawn isn't a failure, it's the sound of old armor hitting the floor. And what emerges afterward isn't a broken version of you, it's the real one, finally free to stretch, breathe, and stand in the sunlight without pretending to be invincible. Every seasoned astrologer knows this simple truth: when the universe hands your light back to you, it isn't merely being generous, it's evaluating your maturity. The universe has the sense of humor of a wise old professor. It never gives a gift without a hidden essay question attached. So, Leo, the question in front of you is not will you shine, because that's inevitable for a creature ruled by the sun. The real question is, what will you do with the light this time? Will you use it to prove a point, to show the world that they were wrong to doubt you, or will you use it to illuminate others, to make your presence a quiet blessing instead of a loud demand? This is your graduate level exam in spiritual growth. Power for you is no longer about dominance, it's about presence. You've already walked through the fire, sometimes literally, sometimes metaphorically, and discovered that not every battle deserves your roar. You've learned the elegant art of choosing silence, not because you're weak but because you finally understand that silence can carry more authority than 100 speeches. The lion that no longer needs to roar is not tired, it's enlightened. That is your evolution, to move from commanding attention to commanding respect without trying at all. But the universe, ever the multitasker, isn't only teaching you about power, it's gently nudging you toward healing. Some of the most important repairs this year will happen within your own bloodline, those complicated family threads that even therapy can't fully untangle. The cosmos seems to have an interest in ancestral house cleaning, and it's scheduling you for a deep emotional audit. Conversations that were long overdue will finally take place. Old regrets, the kind buried under decades of polite silence, may surface. Don't panic. This isn't to reopen wounds, it's to close them properly this time. You might find yourself forgiving someone who doesn't deserve it, and that's precisely the point. Forgiveness is never about the other person, it's an act of spiritual rebellion that says, you no longer get to live rent-free in my head. Contrary to popular opinion, forgiveness isn't weakness, it's emotional graduation. It's the moment you earn your diploma in peace. And once that emotional clutter clears, the energy that was stuck, money, love, opportunity, starts moving again, like traffic finally flowing after a long jam. The universe loves efficiency, and resentment is a terrible use of energy. And as this cosmic verdict continues to unfold, something even stranger happens: your sense of urgency dissolves. You stop chasing things that run from you. You stop performing for love because you finally remember that you are love. This is your rebirth, Leo, not the kind that comes with fanfare and sparklers, but the kind that sneaks up on you on an ordinary morning when you realize your chest feels lighter. You're not fighting to prove your worth anymore. You're living it. Every heartbreak, every delay, every so-called failure, all of it was compost, nourishing the soil for this new version of you that's quietly, unapologetically blooming. When people look at you now, they might not know why they treat you differently, but they'll feel it. Your aura is changing because your vibration has shifted from trying to being. That's what authenticity does, it draws instead of chases. It doesn't beg for recognition, it simply glows until everyone can see it. And here's the beauty of being a Leo: you were never meant to live in shadow for long. The sun is your ruler, your cosmic parent, and it doesn't let its children stay dim for too long. Darkness was your training ground, not your address. You were meant to learn from it, to use it as a sculptor uses clay, shaping humility, depth, and patience into the brilliance that's about to emerge. The universe is returning your light now, not as applause but as trust. It's saying, here, you've earned this. Use it wisely. This year, the year of triumph 2025, that light becomes your compass. You'll lead not by controlling but by exemplifying. You'll love not by needing but by being present. You'll live not to impress but to inspire. That's when the truth hits you with a kind of quiet clarity. You've been the chosen one all along. Not because you were flawless, but because you never stopped believing in light, even while walking through shadow. Now let's address that mysterious figure, the man in uniform, the messenger of truth. He's not just an external symbol, he represents confirmation. He's the embodiment of the universe finally saying, yes, the scales have tipped. It's your turn. When that moment arrives, and it will, don't overthink it. Don't ask why it's happening now or whether you deserve it. Just receive it. Let it wash over you like sunlight after a long storm. Let it settle in your bones until you remember what peace feels like. Then lift your head, not in arrogance but in gratitude. Because this time, Leo, the light isn't shining on you, it's shining from you. You've passed the test of endurance. You've earned your serenity. Each step you take from here is sacred. Each breath is a declaration that says, I am ready. I am free. I am home. You've walked through fire, forgiven the unrepentant, rebuilt yourself from ash, and now you get to live, not as the wounded warrior, but as the wise sovereign. Welcome to your rebirth. Welcome to your year of triumph 2025. Welcome back to yourself. The light never left you, it simply waited for you to notice it again. And before we close, let me remind you of something my years of studying both astrology and human nature have taught me. Destiny doesn't happen to you, it happens through you. The planets may sketch the blueprint, but you're still the architect. So don't sit around waiting for miracles, embody them. Laugh at your mistakes, hug your family, water your plants, and for heaven's sake, enjoy the sunlight you've worked so hard to reclaim. The most spiritual thing you can do now is live well. Live with humor, because enlightenment without laughter is just good posture. Live with humility, because true royalty doesn't need to shout. Live with warmth, because every Leo knows that the world grows brighter when you walk into a room. And if you've made it this far into the reading, consider that your personal omen. The universe has already started moving in your favor. So take a breath, stretch that majestic spine of yours, and step into the day like it was written for you, because it was. And before you wander off into your newly illuminated life, do one more thing: share this light. Like, share, and subscribe to Golden Fortune Leo, your cosmic companion in the art of living radiantly. Because when you spread light, it multiplies. And no one does light quite like you.